Welcome to the Resilient Retail Game Plan, a podcast for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable creative product business with me, Catherine Erdley. The Resilient Retail Game Plan is a podcast dedicated to one thing, breaking down the concepts and tools that I've gathered from 20 years in the retail industry and showing you how you can use them in your business. This is the real nuts and bolts of running a successful product business, broken down in an easy, accessible way. This is not a podcast about learning how to make your business look good. It's the tools and techniques that will make you and your business feel good. Confidently plan, launch and manage your products, and feel in control of your sales numbers and cash flow to help you build a resilient retail business. Welcome to episode 43 of the Resilient Retail Game Plan. My name's Catherine Erdley and I'm your host. Today I am joined by Eman Ismail. She is an absolutely fantastic expert who is going to be telling us all about the importance of email marketing for your product business. If you're not already convinced of the importance of using email in your business, then I guarantee by the end of this episode, you will be. Eman and I have had this conversation many times and I never tire of talking to her about this subject because she's so passionate about it and I can't wait to share the episode with you. Just before we jump in, I want to let you know that it's my birthday this week and it's also the Resilient Retail Club membership birthday. So happy first birthday to the membership. It's a double birthday, which means there will be double giving. I have a special offer just for this week. Firstly, I give to you. So you can get an exclusive gift box worth £35 totally free when you sign up for an annual membership to the Resilient Retail Club. And secondly, I give back. So this week only 10% of the price of all new annual memberships will go to the Microloans Foundation. So the Microloan Foundation gives hope to women in Africa, helping them work their way out of poverty by providing both training as well as microloans to help them create sustainable and profitable businesses. So head over to resilientretailclub.com/birthday and take a look at the special offer. So that's an exclusive gift box worth £35 totally free for you when you sign up for the annual membership. And when you sign up for this annual membership, I will also give 10% of your fee to microloans. And now on to the episode. Hi, Eman. Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I love how we always have to do the little intro, like, oh, we've never met before. But of course, we've talked several times on about email marketing. I don't know how many discussions we've had, probably, I don't know, I'm going to say like 5 or 6 between you helping me with my business. And we've done workshops in the Resilient Retail Clubs, like a whole bunch of times.
Yeah, but I can never get bored of talking about email. So I will just keep on talking. Wherever you want me to be, Catherine, I will be there.
I love that. And I always think as well that one of the reasons that I very first started working with you and brought you in to do workshop in the club and everything is because if anyone's listening to this, go check out Eman's Instagram, which is Inkhouse Writing, because you're so passionate about it. I just love the way you talk about email, and there's nothing better than listening to someone who's really fired up about something. So do you want to start off by just telling us a little bit about you?
Yeah, of course. My name is Eman Ismail and I am an email strategist and copywriter. I help 6+ figure online business owners and e-commerce brands fire up their conversions, evergreen their sales and turn fans into super fans, which is really just a fancy way of saying I make money for business owners through email.
Love that. That is quite the elevator pitch. And I love how you just rattled that off. And I love that you're not just about, of course, copywriting in itself is a hugely important skill, but you're specifically about emails for action. Is that a good way of putting it?
Yeah, absolutely. Emails that get you results, basically. And I specialize in the conversion aspect of email strategy and copy, which means I'm not just writing emails to write nice emails that kind of sound good and make you sound nice and all that good stuff, but emails that actually, get you the results that you want, whether that is money or whether that is, sign-ups to a wait list for a new product, or it might be, for example, getting people to listen to your podcast, whatever it is.
Right.
The job of my emails is to is to convince the reader to do the thing that you want them to do.
Excellent. And do you want to just tell us a little bit about how you got into email, or was it something you've always worked on, or over time have you kind of shifted your focus?
Yeah, so I have pretty much always worked on email. I used to be a general copywriter, which is basically just, I used to do a bit of everything. So people would come to me and say, hey, can you write this? And as long as it involved writing, my answer would usually be, yeah, sure. Whether it was a brochure, a newsletter, even like posters and like quite random things, especially when I first started out. And, you really do just need to say kind of yes to everything because
sure,
you're starting up your business. So I used to do a lot of email actually for a few clients. But what I found was they would come to me and they would tell me, I need 5 emails. And email 1 is going to be about this, and email 2 is going to be about this. And so often, like, I would do these projects and just think, this is not a good way to do this. Like this, whoever came up with this email strategy, like this is not okay. And this isn't clever and it's not going to work. But I didn't have the confidence to say that to clients because I used to think, well, they're paying me to do the writing. Like they don't want to hear what I think about strategy. They just want me to do what they say. So I just used to do what they said. And then at the same time, I was writing my own newsletter for my subscribers and my own business. And I used to get so many lovely comments about my newsletter and about people enjoying my emails. And that really made me realize how much I loved email. Like I really, really enjoyed it. And I just thought, well, what would happen if I did nothing else? Because everything else was kind of weighing on me. And I was still doing all these other jobs, sales pages for launches and this and that. And it just felt like I didn't ever enjoy anything like I enjoyed writing emails. And so I decided to just go for it and to specialize in email. So literally just decided that from January, that this was like December 2019. So it was like, okay, Eman, from January 2020, you are an email strategist and copywriter. And it was as simple as giving myself that label and then really digging deep into the industry to learn as much as I could about it. And then what changed for me was the strategy aspect. So I am a strategist first and foremost now, even before being a copywriter. Clients don't come to me and say, I want 5 emails, email 1 is going to be about this, and then email 2 is going to be about this. I tell them what they need. So they come to me with their problem and say, this is what I'm struggling with. I need to I want to increase my revenue, for example. Like that is the problem that they'll come to me with, or the goal that they'll come to me with. And I will have a look at what's going on with their emails right now and let them know where their kind of money leaking gaps are. So where we can fill in those gaps so that they can stop losing money, and where I can create emails to make more money for them. So the way that I work has changed dramatically. The type of clients that I work with has changed dramatically. It's meant working with clients who I guess just really trust me. Like they trust me, they trust my knowledge, and they know that I know what I'm talking about. And they're happy for me to just go with it and just run.
So tell me then, because I'd love to know, you had these clients where you felt like you didn't quite have the courage to tell them, okay, this is what I think you should be doing. Did you ever have the courage in the end to say, actually, you know what, guys, I've got a plan? Or was it more like you thought to yourself, right, okay, these are actually not the clients I want to work with. I'm going to kind of pivot and I'm going to work with people who will listen to my strategy ideas?
Yeah, I did a complete pivot and changed my audience entirely, because the type of people that I were working with were people who didn't have the budget for a strategist, which is why they just wanted a pen for hire. And I never wanted to just be a pen for hire, because honestly, I really enjoy the copywriting, but the challenge and the thing that, keeps me going and makes me think and is like a jigsaw puzzle that I'm trying to put together is the strategy. That's what I really enjoy doing. And then, and it's the writing part is the thing that comes after that for me. And so I had to change my audience entirely. And it felt in some ways like I was starting all over again from the beginning, having to find a new audience and just to really illustrate how dramatic this was, I went from serving mostly charities to now serving 6+ figure online business owners and e-commerce brands.
So fascinating. It's such a good, and this isn't really the topic of today's podcast, but it's such a good example of what happens when you really pay attention to what you enjoy in your business. And I always have this conversation with both members of the Resilient Retail Club, but also clients when I'm working one-to-one with them, that I think it's an under-discussed part of running your own business, is that one thing you should ask yourself is that question: what lights me up? This idea about following your enthusiasm is so important, because it's very easy at the beginning. It's all about what can I do and how can I get sales and clients, or sales if you're a product business, particularly sales and customers. But then I think very quickly you learn, if you want to keep it going and you want to keep growing your business and keep that momentum and not burn out, basically, you have to focus on what you love. Otherwise you just end up escaping a job to have a job, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, it's so true. And I think the really important part of that is, firstly, figuring out what you love so you could do more of that. And secondly, figuring out what it is that you don't love so that you can get someone else to do that stuff for you.
Yes. So true. Yes. And I think that's what's so interesting about email, because obviously you were talking about budget, but for me, one of the things about email that I find so fascinating is that it really, really makes money when it works.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair to say?
Oh, absolutely. And that was the biggest thing for me. I realized that my clients aren't people that my ideal clients aren't people that I need to convince of the value of email. Mm-hmm. My ideal clients are people like you, Catherine, who already understand the value of email and who know, okay, I just need to get someone in who understands this and knows how to do it properly so that I can start making more money from these things. And because 100%, I mean, it's actually amazing to watch. Like, I am still amazed by it. Like, I just finished working on a welcome sequence for one client, mm-hmm. and I just checked on her welcome sequence. We put it in place a couple of weeks ago. I just checked on it, and it's made hundreds and hundreds of pounds already. It's only been in for a couple of weeks.
Wow.
And actually, if I went back and tweaked a couple of things, because my strategist mind is already going, okay, I can see that if we just tweak that, we'll be able to make her a whole lot more money. It's amazing to see something that I have written, to the right people. And mm-hmm. It means I've written it in the right way to the right people. It's relevant to that person. It's actually bringing them value and convincing them to buy the thing that they already want to buy, but they just needed that little push, yeah, this is the right thing for you.
Totally. And I would say, from my perspective, it's not unusual for me to see clients who are seeing, up to a third of their sales coming from email. So which, if you think about it, is just massive, and that could be a combination. That may be a combination between, say, their welcome flow, their abandoned cart sequence, their re-engagement emails, plus their regular newsletters. So it's not just one type of email, but just if you think about, obviously the point of this podcast is for creative product businesses to think about what can you do to move your business forward. And I would say, if you're not using email, just bear that stat in mind, that there are people out there who would be getting a third of their sales from, and we're talking about big businesses, we're talking about 6-figure plus businesses. So for me, that's why one of the reasons I feel so passionate about it is because I just think it's a hugely underutilized, it's not what people think of first, but it's so incredibly powerful. So in your opinion then, Eman, why do you think email is so powerful?
Oh, I love this question. So email is powerful because of the connection that it creates between the person who's writing it and the person who is reading it. It's such a personal form of communication. Most people view email marketing as being this one-to-many tool. They look at it as, okay, this is a great way for me to speak to hundreds or thousands of people at the same time. And that's not the best way to think about email or to use email. When you think about emails that actually convert, you want to think of it as being a one-to-one tool. So a tool that allows you to speak to, yes, loads of people, but in a very intimate way, in a one-to-one setting, because no matter how many people you're sending that email to, only one person is opening it up and reading it at a time. Like, it's a conversation between one person and another, the writer and the reader. And we forget how powerful those connections are. And when you can get email right and you write it as if, this email is coming from a friend as opposed to a business, and that's very, corporate-y and formal.
Yeah.
You can create that connection so much faster. And I always like to say that email is the sales assistant that is always on call, the 24/7 sales assistant that you didn't even know you needed. Because the amazing thing is, like you were talking about, Catherine, is you can set up so many different automated sequences that you either set it up once or you pay someone else to write it and set it up once. And it just continues to bring the return for you. It's such a huge return on investment. And it just continues to go out every single time, either someone subscribes to your new list or someone abandons their cart or whatever triggers that you've got set up. And so it really is a very powerful tool. And it's about that connection that you're building between you and the person that you're writing to.
I love that. And it's so powerful about how it's that one-to-one connection. And I remember, I'm probably going to quote you back to yourself now, where you were talking about how people read their emails on their phones and their phone goes with them everywhere and it's in their pocket. So it's like the email becomes this very personal connection.
Yeah, absolutely. I think having someone's email address is akin to having their phone number nowadays, because everyone carries has their email out on their phone. Most people have their email on their phone, and your phone is in your pocket, which means that when you have someone's email address, you have constant access to them, and you can contact them when they're on the go, wherever they are on the go. And I think that's why it's so important to, and this may feel like it's over the top to some people, but I really do think it's important to honor that relationship and the fact that this person has given you access to them, because it's a huge deal. And so, you respect that access that this person has given to you by sending them emails that they want to read, and emails that are relevant to them, and emails that actually help them make a decision. Because I think another really big mistake that people make is people think that copywriting, and this is all copywriting, not just emails, people think that copywriting is about making the reader say yes, like, yes, I will sign up to your newsletter. Yes, I will buy your product. Yes, I will buy this, the upsell to this product. But it's not. The job of copywriting is to help your reader make a decision, whether that decision is yes or no, because your job is to find your ideal customers and to sell to your ideal customers. You don't want people who aren't your ideal fit, like great fit customers buying from you, because that's when things like returns happen and complaints happen, and then you end up losing money, losing
Yes.
time, losing just you're like, it's just emotionally distressing. There's so much to it. So you only want people who are a great fit buying your products, and copywriting is about helping people figure out for themselves whether they are that great fit customer or not, and whether they should buy. So it's not always trying to get your customer to say yes. It's about getting them to decide in a very self-determined way whether they should say yes or no.
Perfect. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking to yourself, hands up, I don't use email, but I have no idea what to say and I'm not great at being salesy on email, what would you say to them?
So the first thing I would say is, you don't want to be salesy over email, right? So you don't want to be over salesy. You don't want to come across as pushy or pitchy, but at the same time, you do want to sell. So you have to find that balance where you are comfortable with selling, but you're not coming from a place that is pushy or just over the top. So one way that I like to think about this is, people who've joined your email list have joined, like, they've given you permission to email them. That means they want to hear from you. And unless they unsubscribe, you can assume that they still want to continue to hear from you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have their permission. They want to know about what it is that you can offer them and what it is that you can sell to them. Like, they want to know this stuff. So instead of thinking about it as, you selling to your subscribers. Think of it as you presenting them with the opportunity to get access to whatever it is that you sell that will actually help them. And because nobody listening will be selling a thing to a customer and not believe that, this isn't helpful to someone. Like, this isn't going to improve someone's life in some way, whether it's, bringing them enjoyment, or whether it's something, whether it's a luxury, or whether it's something that is absolutely not a luxury and something that they need in their life, right? You're selling it because you know that it can help people or make people happy, whatever it is. And so in your emails, remember that you are giving people the opportunity to have this happiness or to have this love. And people can say yes or no to it. It's okay if they say no. That's totally fine. But what you want to do is make sure that you're at least presenting them with the opportunity to make that decision for themselves. Because if you don't sell to them, you've already made the decision for them. And that's not what we want. And that's not what they want either.
Oh, that's so true. That's such a good way of putting it. So if you don't email them, you've made the decision for them, and that may not be what they want. I think as well, what I would say is that people often think that the last thing a customer wants to get is an email from them. And even when I've said things like, a regular email, and people say, well, I don't want to spam them. But the thing is that an email full of delightful photos of lovely things is not spam. It's delightful, frankly. And if you're a brand that I've bought from and I enjoy buying from you, then getting an email from you is possibly the highlight of the week. I think that people assume immediately, well, if I send an email to a customer, then it's going to be a negative experience for them. But I would definitely say, I don't even think you have to think that deeply into your own existence or your own inbox to think about. There are definitely going to be some emails that you enjoy getting.
100%. And the other thing to remember is that people that don't want to hear from you will just unsubscribe.
Yes.
And that's okay.
Yes.
And that's okay.
So celebrate the unsubscribers.
100%. And for anyone that doesn't want to hear from you, they will leave. And for those who are still on your list, assume that they do want to hear from you, but realize that if they never hear from you, eventually they won't want to hear from you anymore because they won't know who you are anymore, or they won't remember who you are, or they'll wonder why you're emailing them. So that's why it's really important to email your list consistently and regularly too.
I know that I've seen that people's open rates, for example, go up if you email more regularly. I always think about the online beauty brands, the online sort of beauty marketplaces that are the ultimate culprits for this. But sometimes they'll email me 4 times a day, and I'll be like, okay, now that is too many emails. But a weekly email tends to get better open rates certainly than an irregular email.
100%. And the reason for that is because you have successfully built a level of trust and connection and familiarity as well. So these people now know you, they expect to hear from you, they like you, they trust you. And I came up with a new analogy today on my Instagram, Ask Me Anything, that I'm going to share here. If you think about this as a friendship, for example. So if you see a friend every week, or you speak to a certain friend every week, you will undoubtedly be closer to that friend, and you will trust that friend more and have a stronger connection with that friend than a friend that you only speak to once a month or see once a month. And email is exactly the same way, which is why business owners that do regularly email their subscribers will see a higher open rate. And it makes total sense when you think about it in that sense.
That's a really good analogy. I like that a lot. And again, just to really reiterate that we should be celebrating when people unsubscribe, because people subscribing to your email list ends up costing you money. Once you get over a certain level, and some email providers, it will be right from the get-go. If they're on your list, then that's costing you money. That most of the plans are based on the number of subscribers you have. So if somebody does you the favor of unsubscribing, I only want people on my email list that I'm paying for that actually want to hear from me. If they don't want to hear from me, I would love it if they would unsubscribe.
Oh my gosh, yes. And you've just reminded, I need to write this. I need to put it on my to-do list because it's actually driving me insane. I recently had to move up to the next plan in Active Campaign because I have a good number of subscribers, but all those people aren't opening my emails. And so it's funny because what I've been doing is actually send an email out to people. And I'm like, hey, if you don't want to hear from me anymore, please unsubscribe here. Click this button and unsubscribe, because I'm trying to go back down to the lower level so I don't have to pay as much money here.
Yes.
Obviously, I don't tell them that last bit, but really, like, it really adds up. You are paying for every subscriber. And so here's me trying to, get as many people as possible to unsubscribe, because it's also a bad reflection on your open rates. It's not a true reflection of your open rates when you've got a cold audience that is not opening your emails. So either try to re-engage them, and then if they don't re-engage, let them go.
Yes. If you love someone, let them free.
Exactly.
And if they're meant to be yours, they'll come back.
Yes.
I'm sure that's not entirely applicable to emails, but let's just go with it. It sounds poetic.
Yeah, let's just say
it. So I'm sure we could talk about the subject all day, but just to wrap things up, because as I said, there's so much to email, there's so much that we could go into, and there's so much that you have an incredible amount of knowledge about the different types of flows, the different types of newsletters, everything else, segmenting. There's so much. If this is a topic you're interested in, I definitely suggest anyone listening to this podcast to follow Eman, because I think what you talk about is so fascinating. So let's just finish things up though with just like a where to start. Okay, so you're listening to this. Interestingly, actually, you might be interested in this, Eman, that recently when I ran a survey of 300 product business owners, I asked them how many had an email list, and you'll be happy to know that 76% of them did. So that's
amazing.
Good. I asked them how many emails they sent out, and 40% don't send any emails at all. Another 38% were saying they sent an email once a month. So about 3/4 were sending once a month or less. So imagine someone's listening to the podcast. Either they're in the 25% who don't have an email list, or they're in the 75% who are using it once a month or less. What's sort of your top tip, or the first place to start? What would you say to those people who are listening?
Okay, so whether it's you who is writing this, or you hire an email strategist and copywriter to do this for you, with e-commerce brands, when you're a product business owner, there's just so many different sequences and funnels and flows that you could be writing. The potential email strategy for an e-commerce business is huge. But what you want to do is go for the low-hanging fruit. I would recommend that you focus on the 3 money-making email sequences. The first one, the abandoned cart sequence. So if you do not have this set up, even if you just go into Shopify or whatever it is that you use and just set up the automated one for now, please do, because you will see money come in through that. And when you can, you write it up properly, or get someone to write it up properly, because ideally an abandoned cart email shouldn't just be one email. It should be a sequence of at least 3 emails. The next money-making email sequence is the welcome sequence. So you want people who have new subscribers to be introduced to, your most popular products, the products that people are constantly buying, the best sellers that they will be interested in. You want to present those to them as soon as they sign up. And you want to direct them to this very specific product. Don't just direct them to your website and expect them to, find their way around your website and figure it out themselves. Direct them to very specific products that sell well and that these people will be interested in. The welcome sequence can make you a whole bunch of money too. Mm-hmm. And that can be anything from 3 to 5 to 6. 3 to 6 emails. Start with 3, because I know 6 is a lot to ask. And then finally, the post-purchase sequence, which is the sequence that customers get once they've made a purchase from you. And this sequence is actually more about nurturing your new customers than it is about making more money from them. But this makes you more money in the long run, because it elevates the experience that you're giving your customers, and they feel cared about, and they feel seen, and they feel like you didn't just take my money and then I never heard from you again, while you're sending me these really lovely, helpful emails that are letting me know, obviously, that the order is confirmed and then the order is being shipped. And, maybe you're sending me an email about how to best use your product. For example, I have been working with a brand called Sheepers at the moment that sell slippers, in case you know them. And they are very, very, very cool company. And they are handmade slippers that are handmade in Poland. So they have very specific care instructions. Do not go outside with these slippers, otherwise you will destroy them. You don't want them to be exposed to the sun, because you will destroy them. All these things that help people use your product better, your customers need to know that so that they can make the most of your product. Also, so they don't do all the things they're not supposed to do and then send you an email complaining, asking for a refund because the product broke or is not working anymore for some reason, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then at the end of that sequence, you can upsell and get them to buy another product or ask for a review or, encourage them to buy a gift for their friend if your product business works well for gifts. Those are the 3 sequences that I would focus on. Pick one of those. The abandoned cart sequence is probably the easiest one to start off with, and just see how it goes from there. Because I think for people that don't use email, what they need to see is an email bringing in money.
Right.
And then they're convinced.
Yes. Once that starts, then there'll be converts.
Exactly.
Fantastic advice, as always. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about where people can find out more about you?
Absolutely. So my website is inkhouse, inkhouse.org.uk. You can find out everything that I do and my services there and get in contact with me there. Or you can find me on Instagram at inkhousewriting. I'd love to hear from you. So do get in touch.
And you also share some great tips and information on your social media. So I definitely recommend giving you a follow.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you once again for listening. That was a fantastic episode. As I told you, Eman is so passionate about this subject and shares so many interesting insights into what it takes to really succeed with email marketing. If you're a member of the Resilient Retail Club, don't forget that you can access Eman's workshops as part of the Introduction to Email Marketing course, as well as much, much more. It's got all of the lowdown on how to get started with your email marketing if you're not sure, as well as containing the replays of Eman's workshop, which is about the 3 money-making sequences that businesses need to have. She goes into a lot more detail. She mentioned it briefly in today's session, but there's so much more within the club. And we've also got a copy of her workshop for us on the subject of email marketing at Christmas. So both really, really valuable sessions, and they're available in the Introduction to Email Marketing course within the Resilient Retail Club. In the meantime, why not head over to Instagram and say hi to me at Resilient Retail Club? Why not post a picture? Show us where you are when you're listening. I always love to see where people are when they're listening to the podcast. It really makes my day. Shoot me a DM, tell me what you took away and if there's anything that you're going to be doing differently. If you have a minute to rate, review and subscribe, then please do so. It is so much appreciated. And otherwise, I will catch you next time. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, then I invite you to check out resilientretailclub.com. The Resilient Retail Club is the membership for anyone wanting to start, grow or scale a profitable product business. No more trawling Google trying to find the answers to your questions or wading through general business advice that speaks mainly to service-based businesses. Whether you're still at the idea stage or you've been going for a while but want to get more focused and organised when it comes to your business, the Resilient Retail Club is the place for you. With a library of courses tailored to creative product businesses, several live sessions a month, and a supportive and active community, the Resilient Retail Club is the perfect membership to help you hit your goals faster. Check it out at resilientretailclub.com.